Wreck-It! Hi, welcome to Bomb Squad Movie Night, episode 92. I'm your host and master of ceremony, the Wreck That Ass Tanner Richard Kraft, and with me I have...
Hi, I'm Ganondorf.
I'm clinically depressed.
I'm D's Nuts.
And joining us today, a very special guest we have...
Hello, it's the director of Pepsi-Man Adventures, Cody.
We've been trying to get him on the podcast since Army of the Dead.
It was last year, and I was trying to campaign for that Mac and Me episode. We'll get it one day.
We'll get it one day, God willing.
For
we'll
now,
get Mac and Me one day.
I settled for less.
And today, if you can't tell by the fact, honestly guys, I actually think I broke my fan. I do everything for my art.
Alright, what movie are we watching?
Wreck-It Ralph!
Yeah!
A classic animated Disney movie. Before we get into our thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph, however, Wreck-It Ralph is the story about a video game bad guy. So, in celebration, I thought we would talk about what are some of our favorite bad guys. Ooh. Austin, I'll start with you. How about you name one?
In all of fiction, and that's movies, games, and books, my favorite bad guy is probably Detective Alonzo Harris from Training Day. He's got the most quotes. He's got the most charm. He's just a bad motherfucker, and he single-handedly made Training Day an all-time classic by himself. Thank you, Denzel. That's my favorite bad guy.
King Kong ain't got on me!
Joe, how about you? What's a favorite bad guy of yours?
All right, let's see. Favorite bad guys. I'm gonna dig into my horror roots, and I'm gonna pull out the first major horror villain that I ever fell in love with as a character, Freddy damn Krueger. It's like that man, at least in the first film, is like really scary and like really intimidating. Third film, that's when they started introducing the goof. He's got like this nice balance of like intimidation and goofiness. It's like he's the perfect horror bad guy.
Please, God.
This is God.
Sorry, Tim, what's a favorite bad guy of yours?
I'm gonna go ahead and say anime character by the name of Ryo Asuka from Devilman. He has all of the energy of Rick Sanchez without the annoying fandom. He is one of the big influences of Bakura from Yu-Gi-Oh!, the main villain of that series. He's an LGBT icon, and on top of all that, he's Satan, the devil incarnate. So yeah, Ryo Asuka, villain extraordinaire.
Got it. Riku from Kingdom Hearts.
Akira, come on, let's go! Hey, fool! We're in the middle of something here. I suggest you stay quiet. You think you scare us? Hey, chill out!
Cody, what is your favorite bad guy?
Favorite bad guy? I mean, I could name FBI agents Wicked and Zimmerman from Mac and Me, but besides those two, I'll probably go Shao Kahn. I think he's like the most iconic fighting game final boss that there is. You know, and if you tell back there, you know, I'm a big MK guy, so.
That's so valid. I love Tekken too.
He's so much harder to beat than Shang Tsung. Shao Kahn cheats.
He's not as hard as I am right now.
I don't know, dude. MK2's pretty hard.
It's official. You suck.
Is that your best?
I rule this world. Prepare to die. You will die, mortal. Feel the wrath of Shao Kahn. Is that your best?
Anyway, my favorite bad guy, if I had to pick one, is this guy right here. Not in the movie that this cover is from, but it's Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. A great, tragic villain. Alfred Molina, of course, a Shakespearean thespian-ass actor. You know, he tapped that thespian ass when he was in Juilliard or whatever.
If I were a rich man.
So we're going to go ahead and move on to... why am I making all these jokes about a podcast on a children's movie?
You saw the Sonic 2 one.
Which is relevant because Sonic's in this movie.
Sonic!
He has important exposition.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out of your game, it's game over.
We're going to move on to our Wreck-It Ralph talk about now. Joe, since I think you're the most negative feeling person on the movie, not that you hate it, what do you think of Wreck-It Ralph?
All right, so
you're wrong. Moving on to Tim. I'm kidding, Joe. Go ahead.
When this movie first came out, I was on the opposite end of the spectrum with everyone else. I really did not like this, and for the longest time, I stood by that. Having rewatched it recently, here's how far I'm gonna go with my opinion. I think it's an okay movie. In fact, I think there's a lot of really strong stuff in this. However, I feel that this needed to go through like a couple more drafts, because I think some of its themes are a little like muddled in like kind of the shuffle. I think that this is a movie that 100% does not need a villain. I think the villain of this movie is the absolute worst part of this entire damn movie. Like, nothing about him works to me. Cut him out completely.
You're wrong. Alan Tudyk always works.
Look, okay, I love Alan Tudyk. I love that man. That man is Steve the damn pirate.
He's a chicken in Moana.
Alan Tudyk was the best part of the worst Star Wars movie ever made. But no, that character does not work. Alan Tudyk is doing what he can to try and make that character work, but it's just not there in the writing. The writing for him is just not good.
I'm gonna beat the filling out of you! Aha! You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Aha! You hit a guy with glasses. That's well played.
Other than that, it's just okay. I don't think it's really that special. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I think there's room for improvements, which they very clearly did not take for the sequel, which I still stand by is one of the worst movies ever made. So I'm gonna just end my thoughts here. Back to you, Tanner.
Chewbacca dead? Really?
Yeah, it's like Chewbacca mom, but it's a daddy.
No.
Turn it off.
Hey, everybody.
Turn it off, please.
The worst part about the sequel is that it's Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's right there. Rex the Internet. I know everyone says that, but it's just like Now You See Me was called Now You See Me 2. What the f? The obvious title's right there. How am I better at this than you?
I would call it Now You Don't! It would be called Now You Don't!
Tim, what are your thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph?
I think that this is an interesting movie for this particular forum, just because it's one of those movies that just because of like when it came out and the audience it was marketed towards, it like really highlights the age difference between like me, Austin, and Joe V versus the rest of the Bomb Squad.
I was 3 when this movie came out.
Yeah, like me and Austin, we were adults. We were out of high school. Joe V was a junior in high school, right? So like we were sort of in a different part of our lives as the rest of you who are probably more the audience it was kind of geared towards. But like I do remember seeing the trailer when it came out, and that opening bit with the bad Anon, that was like an instant hook. Just like, it's this animated movie with all of your favorite villains. You got Bowser.
They got Bowser.
You got Bowser. You got Zangief. You got Dr. Eggman, Pac-Man Ghost,
Kano,
Zombie.
His name is Clyde. Show some respect.
We got all these lovable villains from all your favorite video games, and like I thought that was just kind of a neat thing.
Well, today is the 30th anniversary of my game.
Well, happy anniversary, Ralph.
Thanks, Satan.
And like the movie looked like it'd be fun. I remember really liking it when I first watched it. I probably had seen it a couple times around that period. Revisiting it this time, like, I still liked it. I've gotten a little more lukewarm on it. Like, I think it's a cute movie. I think it's solid. I think it's got stuff that works. It doesn't feel particularly groundbreaking, but like, I still enjoy it. Still have a lot of fun with it. But I think I like it more so than a lot of the other offerings of like the Disney CGI movies. It just kind of stands out to me more personally. It came out during kind of a period of my life where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and actually went to Disneyland like right after this movie had come out. And during that trip, we actually went to the Disney Studios with my cousin. I was in the space where they were working on like, I guess they were like these little short extras for the Blu-ray. It was like some kind of Christmas thing, but I was like watching kind of like the loops that they were working on, and I thought that was interesting. And like that particular trip was like what made me realize I wanted to go back into filmmaking. Like I'd made little video stuff as a kid and like in high school, but this was what made me realize I wanted to go back to that. So yeah, Wreck-It Ralph's just kind of a tangential thing to a bigger part of my life. So it has that going for me. But you know, as a movie, it's pretty good.
Viruses do not stop.
Sheepers, is she always this intense?
It's not her fault.
She's programmed with the most tragic backstory ever.
Austin, what are your thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph?
All right, I'd like to start by saying I don't know how objective I can be about this movie. Back in fall of 2012, I was briefly attending a really big state university, a really big state school where I didn't fit in much at all. I had trouble making any friends, and lots of my good friends from high school went to different colleges than me, and it was a really lonely time in my life. So imagine how stoked I was when I hear one of my old friends is driving up to Columbia and visiting my ass. We drove to the theater and we saw this very movie, Wreck-It Ralph. It was the most fun I'd had in months. And I'll never forget the feeling I had staring out of the car window on the way back to my shitty apartment. It was like everything was gonna be okay, even though like life sucked right now. And so now I'm watching Wreck-It Ralph a whole decade later for movie night, right? And I gotta admit, it's still really amazing. One thing is that it borrows a lot of really great story ideas from other classic movies. Wreck-It Ralph has the Toy Story thing where it asks like, oh, wouldn't you like to see these iconic characters have private lives like real people? It has the Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing where it's like, yeah, we're putting Pac-Man and Sonic in the same movie. It. It also borrows that genius story beat from The Iron Giant, where a socially misunderstood protagonist nobly flies to their death to save the world. That last one's probably like hard-coded in a whole generation's DNA to make them cry. As somebody who grew up with like G4, lots of game consoles at home, the rise of emulators, I can happily say I understood all the references. Every last one. Fight me, Gen X. And that's probably the only variable thing about this movie's qualifications is a perfect little, like, modern classic. I think people who don't know much about video games might just think the movie's fine. But the production design and animation teams did a great job making everything look distinct, and I'd at least hope that the massive scale of this, like, inner arcade world provides laymen some inherent value with its considerable spectacle. I mean, what's not to love about a movie where Sonic the Hedgehog gives you the if you die in the Matrix, you die for real speech? There's so many things that went right with this movie, and it's incredible to think that this is Rich Moore's feature film directorial debut. I'm excited we're breaking this one down on the show because it's a movie that's brought me a lot of joy. Wreck-It Ralph may be the most exceptional video game movie ever made, in my opinion, and it teaches people an important lesson about finding your place in the world. It's just a solid-ass film, and it absolutely deserved the Oscar that year way more than Brave did.
Don't remind me. Damn it. Why did Brave win over Wreck-It Ralph?
Your god is dead.
I'm still angry about that.
Man, Ralph lost twice.
Where can a guy like me go and win a medal?
I don't think such a game exists, Ralph.
Oh, come on. You know people.
Two things about what you just said, Austin. Number one, can we all have a brief moment of silence because G4 has died once again recently?
Twice in my life has G4 died.
If I had a nickel for every time G4 got canceled, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice.
Right.
Cody, what are your thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph?
All right, this movie's very interesting for my life because you know I'm a bit younger. So back when I was a wee little,
you're a child.
Yeah, I'm practically a fetus next to you guys. But back when I was like 10, I wasn't really interested in film stuff because I was an idiot kid who didn't know what they were doing. So I was interested in video games. And when they were told, "Hey, there's this big video game movie with all these video game characters you know about," it's like, well, darn. Let's give it a go. Honestly, I don't remember when I watched it. I remember I just watched it at one point in my lifetime, and then I watched it this morning. I think it holds up pretty well. It's hard for me. I think this is hard for me to like critique since I feel like there's a lot of like video game bias. I could tell like the movie's just like, oh, you know these references, Cody. You see that
the Metal Gear Solid exclamation point.
Oh yeah, you see the Metal Gear Solid. I remember one thing I didn't catch, I don't know why I forgot about this, but when I saw the conference scene, which is a really nice scene, just nice and funny, I didn't realize that basically Kano from Mortal Kombat was it. I can't believe I just forgot about it. He just rips
a whole moment where he rips the guy's head out.
And I said that, like, wait, was he in here the whole time? How the f did I miss this? Like, it caught me completely off guard, because I remember the Zangief line, because everyone'd say, just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy. Like, I remember
it's like
that
in
line.
the trailer and everything.
Yeah.
Isn't Kano the first person to use the phrase going turbo, too?
Austin, roll the clip.
I don't want to be the bad guy anymore. Can't
can't mess with the program, Ralph.
You're not going turbo, are you?
Turbo?
You win.
Wow, I can't believe you're right or wrong or whatever. I think the thing I really enjoy about the movie from like a game lover perspective is how they treat older arcade games and how they treat newer arcade games. Because I grew up in a time where like the arcade sort of side was like slowly going away. Like I was kind of that last generation that got to experience that. So, you know, when I see like this movie where the main character is basically Donkey Kong and the side character is basically Jumpman Mario, and then every sort of like beat and boop just kind of resonates with me. I really enjoy that. I don't know if it's like some sort of like masterpiece, mind-blowing movie or anything. I think it's just a really good time. And despite what Joe said earlier, King Candy supremacy all the way, baby. He's funny and awesome, and I love him.
Wait, I shouldn't do like a Black Power fist at that. What am I doing?
Represent.
King Candy, rest in power, brother. What the f is wrong with
Kill them all.
Two white guys are going to talk about the Black Revolutionary, King Candy. The FBI murdered King Candy at his home.
What have I got myself into?
Going turbo is gonna resonate with me. Cause like imagine you do something in your life and your name is just etched in like a phrase. Like Tanner, imagine you just do some real and then anytime someone does something even remotely as bad, they're like, you're not going Tanner, are you?
Yeah.
Cody, that did happen to me.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
Before Tanner changed his name was Samuel 911.
It's like a general overview. It's a pretty straightforward, good movie by the numbers, like Code, basically.
Hey, got him.
Haha.
Pog. They should have made King Candy do Pog face, so we would have been on board with him dying sooner.
Pog? What are you talking about? Tanner, it's 2012. Wake up. We have to go vote for Obama.
Actually, now you're bringing that up. I keep forgetting the ending where Vanellope calls herself president. I'm talking about the end where she goes for the princess. Just, yeah, I'm going to be President Vanellope. And I'm just sitting there like, who taught you this? What game influenced you?
What is it, Hong Kong 97? There's a Hong Kong 97 machine.
The greatest video game of all time. All right, my time to shine. Hello. Fun fact, guys, I did not see this movie in theaters. I know, scandalous. I saw it months after the fact in summer of 2013 when I was recovering from spinal fusion surgery, and because of that, I couldn't really get out of bed. I had two TVs in my room at this time, one for playing video games and one for watching TV. It was the height of luxury. I couldn't walk. So, you know, I'm like, I'm gonna rent Wreck-It Ralph on my 2012 iPod Touch.
I'm gonna rent it.
I'm gonna rent it!
The way Nolan intended.
Wreck-It Ralph. I saw it in 2013 when I was recovering from spinal fusion surgery and also recovering from the fact that my grandfather had died a few months prior.
She's programmed with the most tragic backstory ever.
Just the best time of my life. 2013 was also the year. It was a year after Avengers came out, and I was really starting to get into movies, like big time.
The movies.
This was the time where I transitioned from being, I want to work in video games when I grow up, to I want to work in movies when I grow up. This is the transitional year. So, Wreck-It Ralph kind of came at the perfect time as a blend of these two, the old lover and the new lover. My first Mormon wife and my second Mormon wife.
Hell yeah.
Tanner speedruns getting canceled. Big important time in my life, and I fell in love pretty immediately. I remember crying at it at several points, and I was crying not just at the movie, but also crying about the fact my grandfather was dead. And I remember at one point my window was open, my mom was smoking in the driveway, and I just hear her go, "Are you okay, Tanner?" I go, "Yeah, Mom, I'm fine." Trying to put on my best I'm fine voice, which for some reason came as a, "Oh yeah, you're listening to 107.2 Lovers Radio."
Oh God.
Wreck-It Ralph is a masterpiece. I want to shout out John C. Reilly as the lead character, Ralph.
What's going on in this candy-coated heart of darkness?
Nothing.
Talk.
No.
I'll lick you.
You wouldn't.
Oh, yeah?
I love John C. Reilly. He has such a friendly voice, and yet somehow the fact that his voice is so friendly lends himself well to being this particular breed of bad guy. Bad guy that doesn't want to be bad, aka me. As someone my entire life, especially as a kid, I have a tendency to blame myself for all the world's problems. It was especially bad when I was 15. You could show me a commercial where there's like, this child in Africa is starving, and I'd be like, wow, it's my fault, before the commercial even tries to guilt me for it. I just see starving child and I'm like, I should have ate less. Really unhealthy mindset. This leads you to get institutionalized eventually with the grippy socks. Sarah Silverman is also very good as Penelope. I understand a lot of people hate that character. I think in this movie, I'm not talking about the sequel, but in this movie, she's the correct amount of adorable to annoying ratio that she doesn't actually annoy you.
I hereby decree that everyone who was ever mean to me shall be executed.
I relate heavily to Ralph's whole I'm the bad guy thing, because I tend to, I'm sure everyone does this, but I think I'm special and not like other girls, in the sense that when I think about my mistakes, I amplify my mistakes over the good things I've done, because I'm not like other girls. So I've always related this as a journey of Ralph as this bad guy. So I always loved this movie from the very first time I saw it. And then, last year, I read a Letterboxd review for Wreck-It Ralph that changed my perspective on it for the better. It made me go from, oh, I really love this movie a lot, to, if you want to ask me what my favorite Walt Disney animated movie is, it's either The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, or Wreck-It Ralph. That kind of level. The top Letterboxd review for this movie is from someone with the profile Mercedes, in which she posits that this is a movie about two autistic characters. Ralph is ostracized from society because he doesn't interact with others like he's supposed to. He doesn't play by society's given rules like he's supposed to. And it's not from a lack of understanding to them, it's often more of a disregard of what he thinks is right. And he's often treated like the bad guy because he occasionally has these outbursts that often present in angry ways. Penelope, also ostracized from society because she's a glitch. These characters are autistic. I'm not even talking about subtext. I mean, I don't think it's what the creators intended, but if you read the movie through that lens, it almost feels blatant. And as someone who's grown up with autism my whole life, because it doesn't go away. Why am I saying because for?
Tanner had the Mitch Hedberg joke. I used to be autistic. I still am, but I used to too.
I'm just gonna go to an open mic night, say that, and then walk out of the building, but trying to like take the microphone with me.
Anyway, you were saying, Tanner.
And this reading of it makes it all the more special to me because it's a story about two people who are ostracized for the same thing, finding community in one another. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. Also, a Christian guy from 30 Rock is great as Fix It Felix.
Jack McBrayer.
They're attracted to whatever makes them laugh. Here, hit me again.
Look, you're a nice guy. I can't...
No, ma'am! The arcade is depending on us. Now do your duty. That's an order.
Well, what more do we have to say about Wreck-It Ralph? I specifically have a moment I want to bring up. Cutting to commercial break now.
Why, it's Q*bert. What brings you here, neighbor?
Mom spaghetti.
What's he saying, Felix?
Stand by. My Q*bertese is a little rusty.
Mom spaghetti.
Ralph's gone turbo.
I am the danger.
I can fix it. I can fix it.
Welcome back to the Blueprint by Jay-Z, and by that I mean Bomb Squad Movie Night. We're gonna get into some general discussion. Does anyone have any topics about this movie they want to bring up?
So this movie's famous for having a whole ton of like video game characters in it, right? I do have one question to pose to you guys. Does Mario actually, any Mario reference, do any of those really need to be in the movie?
Are there really that many besides Felix referring to Mario and Bowser being in the opening?
Yeah, that's fair.
There's also the mushroom in it. But at the same time, the whole like game that is Fix It Felix Jr. is basically just Donkey Kong Jr., which was the origin of Mario.
It's kind of like how they bring up John Holmes in Boogie Nights. You do the parody, but you have the thing it's parodying mentioned in the universe. I read something on IMDb that when they were putting Bowser in the Badanon meeting, they got a letter from Nintendo that he was holding his tea wrong. And they had to manage, like, you know, change how he was holding the teacup. And I figure the reason Mario's not in this movie isn't because they couldn't find a place to put him. It's because Nintendo probably had a chokehold on that and they could never think of anything that would like be okay with Nintendo to put Mario in the movie.
Famously, Jeremy Johns, I'm sorry to bring him up, Jeremy Johns in his review of this movie said that the movie would have been better if the "You Need to Be a Hero" Ralph speech was delivered by Mario, which I don't understand why that's his stance. Maybe that was his reveal of the trailer, I don't remember, but I just remember that being a thing he said, and I went, what is this nerd brain? Unfortunately, that's all that pop culture is now.
You know for a fact, at a point in the game, some hero from a game has to give Ralph that speech. You know the speech, if you're not going to find what you're looking for out there, it's in here, the end game version. You know that's got to be given by my boy Mario.
It's a me,
Mario.
Austin, it sounded like you had something?
Yeah, there was this one visual development artist who worked at Disney named Lorelei Beauvais, who grew up in Spain and saw a lot of architecture by this motherfucker named Antoni Gaudí. And that Spanish modernist architecture was a distinct influence on the look of Sugar Rush. At first, they had like candy models built in the office, and they stared at them with intent, like, ooh, this is it, but we need something extra. And they used like Spanish modernist architecture as the extra. Which I thought was interesting because I never would have known that.
Better Spanish than Italian. I want to talk about a scene in this movie. I referred to before how there are certain things in movies that have like a Pavlov-like effect on me, where I will see it or hear it and I will immediately start to cry. Wreck-It Ralph has one of these moments, and it starts with King Candy. Austin talked about this earlier, holding Ralph over the volcano, and I know the exact moment it starts. It's game over for both of you. That's when the waterworks start.
Ding.
And he goes down and the music starts swelling. And Ralph delivers these words.
I'm bad, and that's good. I will never be good, and that's not bad. There's no one I'd rather be than me.
Tanner made a big breakthrough here today. Does anybody else want to share?
That moment when it's like, you know, I gotta save my friend, and then he says the thing. Damn it, why am I crying again?
You really resonate with the character Ralph and his plight.
He just like me for real. He's literally me. Ryan Gosling.jpg.
There we go.
Ryan Gosling's face awkwardly stretched over Ralph. Does anyone else like that scene?
I like how the finale starts with him just like Donkey Kong down being on the Mentos. I think that's pretty fun.
And then Ridley comes in and just smacks him.
Yeah, there we go.
I like that there's a double twist in this movie. I've always like gotten a cheap thrill when movies have twist endings, and the fact it's a double twist that like King Candy's like Turbo and the bad guy was so good, because there's all these little moments throughout the movie when it's kind of like revealed that you know, Vanellope is the queen of Sugar Rush and King Candy is Turbo. Like when Ralph's like gets pissed at King Candy outside the mountain, King Candy gets actually scared because he can actually die because he's not from this game. Like there's a lot of little moments like that throughout the movie, and it begins with the turbo time machine and the time lapse. It's such a good movie. Damn.
I was talking to Ethan earlier, and I said Wreck-It Ralph is original sin (parentheses Disney twist villain), but I think it is far better set up here than it is in any of the ones that'll come after this one. You know, Frozen, Big Hero 6.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're reminding me that this started a trend. Okay, so
if anything started the trend, it was Toy Story 3.
Oh, okay. Well, still,
which I know is a Pixar movie, but it's owned by Disney, and John Lasseter ran both studios.
Okay, regardless, unsubscribe. I want my money back.
That doesn't make sense.
I think it's most similar to the twist in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because they have a completely different appearance, and they're mentioned earlier in the movie in passing. You don't think they'll come back, and then they take off their fake face, and they're like, "Remember me, Eddie?" This is so similar to Who Framed Roger Rabbit in a bunch of ways.
Is that? Holy smoke, he's a tomb!
I just want to double back to the thing that made me sob. Sorry, because I didn't actually say everything I wanted to say on it. Forgive me.
You're fine.
I specifically love that scene because the whole movie, he has this sense that he's not enough. You know, that he's not enough for anyone to love him or care about him. But he's enough for Penelope, which is really beautiful. Me, damn it.
Yeah, man. If all the lonely people got together, they wouldn't be lonely anymore. This movie originally had an extra game world that Ralph was trying to get to. The game was called Extreme Easy Living 2. Apparently, it was designed to be kind of like a mix between Grand Theft Auto and The Sims. Basically, Ralph goes into a social sim sandbox game and realizes it's super boring to live in this game compared to games with a more traditional hero-villain kind of structure. The world didn't make it to the animation stage, but you can catch animatics of it on the deleted scenes featurette on the Blu-ray. It's actually pretty interesting. It's like he gets to heaven and then realizes heaven is boring.
Joe, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, man, Big Gene's a dick.
Gene, that little douchebag. Every word out of his mouth pisses me the off. Like that thing in the penthouse where he's just like, I just wanted to stop living alone in the dump. And he's just like, well, now you can live alone in the penthouse. Like, you little prick. His whole thing was because you were a douchebag.
So he's not like, we have to admit, Felix is culpable and all that, right?
Yeah, but Gene though.
If Felix tried to reach out to Ralph, the townspeople would have gone along with it. You know, I'm sick and tired of liberal Felix Fix-It Jr. to be absolved. We all, you know, Barack Obama. Now who's ready for Tanner's 8-bit trivia corner?
Skrillex. Do it.
Bangarang.
God, that was that era.
Okay, so did you notice, I think something about this movie that I think I like, and I'm imagining a lot of you other guys like, is the fact that the interactions between the characters feel really organic and real, right? There's a reason for this. Unlike most animated films, the principal actors regularly recorded audio sessions together in the same room, which of course led to the more organic back and forth feeling and also led to a lot of improvisation. Also, I just realized something. Mario is in this movie. The bartender and tapper is supposed to look like Mario. That was an intentional thing when they made the game back in the day.
Okay.
Austin is like angry I'm saying this.
It's all right.
Bitch.
The animators intentionally used limited
frame rates, limited movements for the 8-bit characters.
Animation things for the non-main characters, like the Fix and Feel It townsfolk, how they used more limited animation with the keyframes, which is really cool.
They move on a grid. Everyone moves up, down, right, left, but never diagonally.
The train station at Niceland shows that the population is 224 by 256, which is the resolution of an 8-bit game, traditionally.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When do you guys think development on this movie really started?
The 90s.
The 80s.
Damn.
The idea of an animated movie about the world of video game characters started in Disney in earnest in the 1980s, where the project was called High Score, and in the 90s was titled Joe Jump. In the 2000s, when the movie was finally pushed forward, the first 2 months of story development focused on, like what Austin was saying earlier, Felix as the main character.
And that 30 years later at the beginning really hits different now.
It took us this long to make the movie. King Candy's voice and character design is actually modeled off of someone who often worked in Walt Disney films. Ed Wynn, who is probably most famous as the voice of the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, or as Uncle Albert in Mary Poppins.
Right.
So, Tim, you might like this. One of the Sugar Rush racers is named Minty Zaki.
Oh yeah, I knew. I've been new.
This is a tribute to Hayao Miyazaki. Austin brought up Skrillex earlier, which is funny because the DJ at Fix It Felix's party is intentionally modeled off of Skrillex.
Yep, and Daft Punk is in Tron Legacy. Disney was just doing this around that time.
God.
Speaking of video games, the tunnel. There's a piece of graffiti on the right side of one of the tunnels in the shot that leads Leroy, which is of course famous for one of the most early internet viral videos. Leroy Jenkins!
Damn it, Leroy.
They started chicken.
Oh God, he just ran in.
Fix It Felix jump sound effect is the same used as Mario in the video game Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars.
Massive.
The best Mario RPG.
Really?
I'm sorry, Paper Mario.
1,000 Year Door is better.
1,000 Year Door isn't even my favorite Paper Mario.
Uh-oh.
I like Super Paper Mario the most, which I understand is apparently an incorrect opinion.
It's the correct opinion, though.
Oh
It's the
yeah,
correct
I
one.
love Austin laughing at that just immediately. Holy shit, the cops are donuts! That's funny! Holy shit, that just clicked!
How did you not?
No, I was just reading one of the trivias and it was like, they made the cop Dunkin' Donuts and I went, oh!
That just hit you now?
Because one of them's called Dunkin', like Dunkin' Donuts.
And they act like real cops.
I love how they're like, we got him, and then they just start beating the shit out of Ralph when he's incapacitated.
Gotta love movie accuracy.
Base Disney.
I talked about Ed Wynn earlier. Apparently, his agent told the casting directors that he could do an Ed Wynn impression without confirming with him that he could do it.
That's the other thing. You say you can do it, and then you learn.
This is the final piece of trivia, which isn't fun at all. However, I do want to say that this is the first Disney film since Brother Bear to be in a 2.35 by 1 aspect ratio, which is, I think, what all of their animated movies are in nowadays. All right, final thoughts. Oh, wait, the Konami code's in this game. I know that's obvious, but I just...
Yeah.
People will comment if I don't say it. Like, if I don't bring it up, they're gonna leave a comment, you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna be like, oh, you forgot about this. No, I didn't, motherfucker. And now you look stupid for leaving that comment, idiot.
I am not owned. You are owned.
I'm talking to you, Billy.
No, don't diss Billy.
Your wife.
No.
All right, who's ready for their final thoughts on this movie? Tim, we'll start with you.
Man, how the f was this movie not in Kingdom Hearts 3? Like, it's such right material. It's such right material for a Kingdom Hearts world. Like, you take out the, like, copyrighted characters, you take out the, like, big IPs, you still have Sugar Rush, you still have Hero's Duty, you still have Fix-It Felix Jr. There's plenty to work with there. But no, instead we have the recreation of the Let It Go scene. I don't know. No, Maria, that one up.
Do better. Joe, you.
Insert joke about the 1989 movie The Wizard here. I've got nothing.
Cody, you go.
I think it's a pretty good movie, and it's a shame that it never got a sequel. I heard about the development in 2014, but besides that, you know, just never really went anywhere. The only thing I want to mention, because I've never seen Ralph Breaks the Internet, but I only think about that those kiosks in like stores that have the Oscar-nominated winner before the Oscars actually were like finished, and they had like Ralph Breaks the Internet win, even though it never won because it was against like Into the Spider-Verse. I think about that from time to time.
That was my first ever Oscars party where I was genuinely afraid that Ralph Breaks the Internet would win over Spider-Verse. I remember, I don't know if anyone here was at that party. Austin was, because that was the first one, and he actually attended that one. I don't know if you remember, Austin, but literally everyone in the room went, yeah, when it was announced Spider-Verse won.
Yeah.
Like, we all went ape. It didn't quite compare to the Parasite moment the next year, but it was pretty good. Austin, your final thoughts.
Considering some of the actions of Walt Disney back when he was alive, I'm happy that we've come far enough to have a Jewish Disney princess. Finally, Sarah Silverman of all people. This is a win for representation, and I could not be more happy with Wreck-It Ralph.
She's not a princess, she's a president, remember? It's in the ending.
A Jewish president. That's too far. That's a step over the line.
If they wouldn't let Bernie win, you think they're gonna let a Jewish woman win? I just want to again emphasize how much that scene makes me cry, because when I was watching it this morning, I actually recorded a video of myself where I said, I'm gonna try and not cry challenge, and as soon as I pressed the play button on the movie, I started crying. I failed it instantly. What more can I say about Wreck-It Ralph that I or anyone else here hasn't said? It's a fantastic movie. I think it's the best animated Disney movie of the 21st century. It's really, really good, and if you haven't seen it, I hate you. All right, but you want to know who shouldn't die?
Who?
You! The person watching / listening to the 92nd episode of Bomb Squad Movie Night. While you're here, Cody, plug your
Oh, I have a YouTube channel that I upload once every 2 years. You just do youtube.com/Cody Sweeso, and maybe I'll upload. At that time, I upload something by the time this video comes out. Wouldn't that be fun?
Watch Pepsi-Man Adventures. I say that while holding a Coke.
Yes.
Pepsi-Man Adventures is an actual. No, Michael House is a masterpiece of the highest order. Please watch Michael House.
Michael House is
very happy
incredible.
with that.
Is that black and white silent movie you made still up?
Blue Snoodle? Should be.
Because I really like that one.
Watch them, and I'll make sequels to them eventually. It'll be great.
Cody has made movies like by himself that are really good. It's impressive.
Yeah.
He's like us if we were one guy.
Yeah, I'm more independent, so I just like making stuff by myself.
Yeah, we're the big corporate system. Yeah, we're here to crush you, Cody.
Yeah.
We're corporatized.
Cody Sweeso's the Robert Rodriguez of Webster University.
Oh, dang.
It's true, it's in the Bible. And while you're reading the Bible and watching this video, and after you're done subscribing to Cody's channel, come on down. If you're listening to this on Spotify or any of the other audio platforms we're on, thank you also very much for listening. Go ahead and leave a review on whatever audio platform you're on. It will help boost us in the algorithm. If you're watching on Spotify video, you. But not really. I just wanted to make sure you could hear me curse at you because you can, because it's uncensored. If you're watching this on Spotify video, how about you mosey on down to our Patreon? Austin's so hungry. He hasn't been fed in 3 years. Please give this poor man a can of SpaghettiOs.
Here, Austin, have a Pepsi.
Thank you, Cody.
And while you are watching this on YouTube, thank you also very much for watching. Go down to the comment section below and let me know. Who's your favorite bad guy? What do you think of Wreck-It Ralph? Does that ending scene also make you cry? And finally, should it have been called Wreck-Ralph's, Ralph?
Yes, I think it should be.
Comment, answer that question down below. Let me know. And while you're down there, hit the like button so we know how much you like us. Hit the subscribe button so we know how much you love us. And hit the bell icon so I can break into your home. Because I'm gonna wreck it. Tune in next week when the saga continues as we talk about the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Yes!
Oh, damn, it wasn't Mac and me?
See you then, guys. Bye!
Farewell.
Turbo-tastic.
Look, you're a nice guy. I can't.
No, ma'am! I slid my ticket across the table and I said, sorry, guys, I gotta see about a girl.